On today's episode, I'm going to tell you all 13 winners of the upcoming Gam3 awards. What's up, gamers? I'm your host, Cobra, and as I mentioned, today's episode of the Freeroll is a fun one. We're going to predict a winner for all 13 gaming categories for the Gam3 Gaming Awards. Now, one quick note before we jump into the predictions and awards. This is meant to be a fun video. I'm going to poke fun all the way throughout, and that's because the reality is it's way too early for an award ceremony like this, but it's just a lot of fun to give out awards anyways, so I appreciate the thought that was put into this. It's a bit silly, but we can enjoy it anyways, and it'll be fun to award some of the projects. And so with that, let's jump into the first category. Now, before we go any further, there is 13 award categories, and I know some of you don't give a shit about Best Adventure Game and just want to skip straight to Best Shooter because you've only got 90 seconds to watch this video. So I have timestamps for all of the different categories below. If you want to skip ahead, feel free. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future content from the Freeroll as well. First up is the Best Esports Game Award, and this is a really interesting category because for sure in the future this is going to be a hotly contested and hyped up award to win because Web3 and esports go hand in hand for sure. But today, do we really even have esports in Web3 gaming? Kinda, sorta. These are definitely titles that are aiming in that direction, though, and it's a fun thought exercise to pick a winner here. I am not a big esports gamer myself, but when I think esports, I think shooters. And to me, Project Evo is a lot of fun and already getting quite a bit of hype on social media and from other content creators. So that is the winner for this category. Best Multiplayer Game. This is another fun category to think about, but another one that is easily a year too early because the reality is that multiplayer functions and game modes are typically towards the end of the development cycle for most games, and we don't have a whole lot of games that are even in a launched state today. So this is a tough one to judge, but we do have some worthy projects nominated here, and for my money, Blankos is the best multiplayer experience that you can find in Web3 gaming today. It's fun, simple, but approachable, and it actually is multiplayer. Next up is the Best Card Game Award, and this is where we have our first real head scratcher because I am looking at the list of nominees. Nice projects for sure, but where is Parallel Alpha? Total whiff here for them not even to be nominated at all. I realize that the game isn't out yet at all. It has only been played by a very small private alpha group so far, but they've released all of the card functions for the game and the entire set. They've had a deck builder added to the website so you can start figuring out what your deck needs to look like, and they've had theory crafting events with the community. I think it is clear here that there is a good game coming, and from the one person that I know that has played it, it is a lot of fun. So for them to not be nominated at all is just a total oversight, I assume, but they are the winner for sure, if you ask me. But since they aren't actually nominated, I'll go ahead and pick Gods Unchained. They get a lot of credit in my book because that game has been available for a long time and has attracted a whole bunch of players. So that can't be ignored when most of these games aren't out at all. Next up is Best Strategy Game, and at first glance, I'm wondering if this is actually a new category or not, because that list of nominees looks awfully similar. There's not a lot changed here, and when you think about it, all card games are strategy games for sure, but not all strategy games are card games necessarily. That said, Axie Infinity drops off of the nominee list, and so for that reason, Gods Unchained should win this one as well, for the same reasons, against a little bit lighter competition overall, in my opinion. But they get 2 awards for essentially beating the same games. Next up is an exciting category, Best Shooter, and time for a confession. I haven't played a first-person shooter game seriously since GoldenEye. Now, I did play the GoldenEye remake as well, so I guess not 20 plus years ago, but still, none of these games are ones that I have played or paid a whole lot of attention to. So for that reason, we are going to judge based purely off of my personal Twitter feed. So for that reason, Evo is going to win this one. I have seen a bunch of other content creators playing that game and having a lot of fun. The content looks good, the graphics look solid, so congrats Evo, you win. Best RPG. This is the category that is definitely most near and dear to my heart because I love RPGs. And I think it's also probably the most competitive category out of all of the different genres for sure. These are all worthy projects, and I would not be surprised really to see any of them actually win the award in a couple of days. But for my money, I think Guild of Guardians is actually the best RPG of the year. I'm a little bit surprised to see them off of this nomination list, but that said, out of the ones that are here, there's some really interesting titles. Illuvium, is that really an RPG today? I think with the release of Overworld just yesterday, that is the case. However, Overworld has been out for, like 25 hours or something like that. So tough to put too much of judgment there, but I can tell you it is a lot of fun. So how do we pick a winner? I think that in the end, Big Time is going to walk away with this award. Big Time's been playable for quite a while now. They have a lot of classic RPG features working and a lot of promise for the future as well. Big Time team, please get a Mac-compatible client available. But I think they are the ones that take home the award this year. Next up is the Best Casual Game, and this is the interesting award, but my first thought when I'm looking at these nominees is what exactly is the criteria for a casual game, because I'm looking at a few here that are quite in-depth. Axie Infinity has layers and layers and layers to it for sure, and a mature player base engaging with it as well. Legends of Inari also very early development, and we haven't even seen half of what the game is going to be in the future, but there's already quite a bit of depth there, and quite a lot of hours that you can sink into that game as well. So I'm thinking maybe the criteria here was actually the games with the cutest characters, which is probably the Pokemon effect, because while Pokemon is not that casual a game either, it certainly has cute characters, and it certainly is for children. So Either way, out of these 5, my personal favorite is definitely Legends of Venari. I have sunk many hours into that game and caught thousands of Venari at this point. But I think they're a little bit more of an indie pick, and most likely to win this award is actually the one that probably fits the casual category the best, and that is Blankos. Next up, a category that I expect to get a lot tighter in the future, Best Adventure Game. I'm looking at the list here, and first things first, I've never heard of Earth from Another Sun. Interesting title, though, so maybe we'll have to check it out. And The Sandbox? I think this one comes down to Big Time and My Pet Hooligan. I got a feeling My Pet Hooligan's going to win somewhere, and this might be the spot, but for my money, give me Big Time for Best Adventure Game. Drum roll, please. It's time for my personal favorite category, Best Mobile Game. Here at the Freeroll, we love mobile games and honestly cannot wait for a lot more of them to be delivered. But this is arguably the most important category out of all of them, including Game of the Year, because as we know, mobile gaming is the biggest sector of gaming, and that makes it really attractive. Most experts, including myself, predict that gaming is going to be the first or next big thing to jump in the NFT sector, and mobile gaming specifically is likely to lead that charge. That is in no small part due to the nominees here, but I have been saying it all year long, and I am not going to stop. Guild of Guardians is going to deliver. They are going to reach out to the masses in ways that only Axie Infinity has done so far. I'm talking 1 million daily active users when that game finally hits a official launch, which sadly is not right around the corner, but hopefully we're going to have another open gameplay from Guild of Guardians in the near future. Please, team. They easily take home the Best Mobile Game of the Year award. Best Action Game, and wow, did I say earlier that the RPG category was the most competitive? Scratch that. Best Action Game is definitely the most competitive category so far. This one is loaded with some big, impressive projects. We also have metalcore in there. Just kidding, guys. But seriously, these are some of the biggest, most impressive projects in all of Web3, not just the gaming sector. So tough to pick a winner, and honestly could be any of them, but I just gave you my love fest for Guild of Guardians and just told you that mobile was the most important category in the space. So for that reason, I'm going to give Guild of Guardians the edge and award for Best Action Game of the Year. Now we are getting down to the big boys, and the next category up is Best Graphics. This is an award that I know a lot of projects would love to put on their mantle, and we have to address an ugly truth here with this one, because Star Atlas has been nominated, and we are not going to consider Star Atlas here on the Freeroll because they just lost all of their money. That project is in rough shape at the moment, and I think if we were rebuilding the nomination list today, they would not make the cut for any of the categories, despite having the best graphics. So with them ineligible for this award, I'm going to go ahead and pick Illuvium. We are splitting hairs if we are picking between Star Atlas and Illuvium anyways, and Illuvium, on the other hand, has been really, really successful all year long and has a ton of hype around it with the recent release of Overworld. That looks amazing as well, as long as you have a beefy as shit PC to run it on the max settings, which sadly I do not. But I do get to play it whenever I want, which is fantastic because it's a lot of fun and a really good start. So Illuvium wins for best graphics. Okay, we round things out with the final two categories, the most anticipated game of the year and the game of the year. And this is a weird one to split up because the reality is they are pretty much all still very much anticipated because we have almost no finished games being considered here at all. So tough to distinguish between what is going in the game of the year category and what is going in the most anticipated category. And Illuvium managed to be on both of those lists. So I don't know. But next up is the most anticipated award. And this is another one where Star Atlas got nominated. They probably would have won this award as well, 2 months ago, because that game was very much anticipated. But I'm not sure we're going to get to see any of it at this point. So I'm not anticipating anything there either. For my money, Ember Sword is the most anticipated game. That is a project that I bought the NFTs for a long time ago, and still haven't been able to play it myself because I missed out on a couple of windows, and they canceled the last one, so I haven't actually tested it out. I am really looking forward to playing that one, but it looks like a lot of fun. That said, I think Illuvium is going to ride its wave and actually win this award. Now, perhaps I put Ember Sword ahead of Illuvium because Illuvium has a beta out that I am able to play whenever I want, so a little bit less anticipation because in my mind that game is here now. But there is still a lot to anticipate there, and I'm looking forward to the mobile game from Illuvium as well. That brings us to the final category, and undoubtedly the biggest, most prestigious award of the entire evening, the Game of the Year. Now, again, this is a silly one to judge because these games are all in various states of development and release. And again, for my money, I would like to see Guild of Guardians on this nomination list. I think it is that good despite only having a couple of beta tests available this year. I think that's enough to be considered along these other ones. But out of the list that we have, my personal pick would be Illuvium. I think they have had a really, really impressive and successful year so far. And even though it's only been a couple of days, Overworld looks like a huge hit as well. That said, Overworld hasn't been out that long, and the Auto Battler, I think, is a little bit less popular of a category compared to a game like Big Time, which is an RPG, definitely a big category and popular genre, also one that fits quite naturally on the blockchain. Yes, Illuvium is also an RPG as well, but that has only been out for not even 2 full days. So because Big Time has given us a lot more gameplay for a lot longer, I think they get the edge and are going to take home the Big Time prize of the evening, Game of the Year. And that wraps up our predictions for the Gam3 Gaming Awards. It's a big night for both Big Time and Illuvium. No surprise they lead with the most nominations of any projects this year, and in my mind they're going to also walk away with the most wins. We see some success from Evo, Gods Unchained, and Guild of Guardians as well to round out a fun and exciting evening. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was meant to be entertaining, and if you did, consider giving me a follow on Twitter. That's where I'd love to engage with the Web3 gaming community and answer all of your questions. Also, if you've made it this far, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps to support the channel.